It is day 4 of a key hearing for Tyler Robinson. He's the man charged with killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk. And today we're hearing from Robinson's former roommate in the form of a recorded interview. That interview with police and prosecutors happened back in April. That was months after Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the Utah Valley University campus. Robinson faces multiple charges, including aggravated murder. The hearing this week will determine whether prosecutors have enough evidence to take Robinson to trial, which could bring the death penalty. Robinson has not entered a plea in this case. We're joined now by NBC's Camila Bernal, who's been following this all week, and also NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris is here with us in the studio. Camila, I'll start with you. The recorded interview that we're talking about from Robinson's former roommate, Lance Twiggs, played in court today. Messages between the two were also presented. What else did we learn?
Yeah, Kate, it's the first time that we see and hear from Lance Twiggs, and he admits to having a romantic relationship with Tyler Robinson. And we also hear what happened in their conversations on the day that Charlie Kirk was killed. And essentially, he tells the roommate that he left him a handwritten note underneath the keyboard of the computer, and the roommate goes and retrieves that letter, which actually said, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." I also want to point out, when that was read in the courtroom, that's when Erica Kirk began crying, as well as Charlie Kirk's mother. There were some redactions. We didn't get to hear this outside of court, but it was interesting to also then hear the conversations that they had after the shooting. The first time that they saw each other in person, Tyler Robinson actually admits again to having done this, and the roommate actually says that he was pacing around, that he cried a little bit, that he actually said that he wished he hadn't done this. And so this is a mixture of the videos, the text messages, messages from Discord, of course, that letter that was under the keyboard. And it is the first time that we're seeing this full picture of what the prosecution wants to bring forward. We're waiting for one more prosecution witness and 2 witnesses on the side of the defense, but this is essentially coming to a close in terms of what the prosecution has against Tyler Robinson. Kate.
Thank you so much. And Misty, let me turn to you, because that does sound like a whole lot of evidence in favor of the prosecution. You know, things like him appearing to admit to the crime. What is the defense going to do about all of that?
Yeah, and this is coming in really strategically from the prosecution, because it's coming in through one of the investigators, Agent Davis, who's on the stand. And we're hearing not only the interview of Lance Twiggs, in addition to text messages, Discord messages, which are really laying out a timeline here that prosecutors are relying on, and these statements that are made to Lance Twiggs from Tyler Robinson, as per Lance Twiggs, prosecutors are saying are a confession. What is the defense going to do? Well, we're getting a preview from this interview. It's likely that this would be the type of testimony, if this case goes to trial, that Lance Twiggs would give. And in this proceeding, for probable cause, there's no cross-examination. So you can imagine, when you're at trial, the defense is going to try and poke holes in some of what's coming out today.
And I think we could listen to a little bit more of what happened in that interview. Let's take a listen.
Did you ever talk about gender identity issues and LGBTQ rights?
No, not really. Usually if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current, policies being issued or voted on.
Interpret that for us.
Yeah, this is actually very interesting, because Lance Twiggs was asked, did Tyler Robinson ever talk about LGBTQ issues? Why would this be a question? Well, because remember, there is a targeted victim enhancement that prosecutors are going for here, that Charlie Kirk was targeted by Tyler Robinson because of his religious and political beliefs. So what Lance Twiggs said there wouldn't really fit into that narrative, which I find to be interesting. But that's the reason why you hear some of these questions with regard to Tyler Robinson's position on some of these, social issues.
Because Charlie Kirk had publicly said some things that were considered not in favor of the LGBTQ community. Misty Maris, thank you so much. Camila Bernal, thanks to you as well.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.